when a course is difficult, don't think you can do it by yourself. So my grades in my first term weren't my best grades. I am not, I will still not be proud of them, right? And it broke me. It broke me so much that I was talking to my friends and I'll just be wailing and just crying like, you know what, I need to just tell my parents that I can't do it anymore, this or that kind of thing. Because I was just so frustrated and I didn't even feel like trying again. Like there was not that much effort in a lot of other things that were then coming up.
Welcome, Precious 5.0. Welcome once again to the Nigerian Students Podcast.
Hello, Maxwell. Thank you for having me on the Nigerian Students Podcast. Very excited to be here.
It's really an honor. Now, in today's episode, we are joined by Precious Okon, a productivity coach, educator, and founder of Magazine Chronos. Now, and she is also the overall best graduating student of Nile University in Nigeria with a perfect CGPA of 5.0. If you are actually a subscriber to the Nigerian Student Podcast, you've, I believe, seen one of her episodes where she bamboozled us with the strategies that gave her the 5.0. Now, in today's conversation, we are actually going to be answering 4 practical and powerful questions that Nigerian students often ask. And let's actually list them out for you. What really causes students to carry over courses beyond simply not reading enough? What is the first practical step to take after failing a course? Now, the third question is, what study system works best for passing difficult courses under pressure? And I love that question. And the last but not the least, what mistakes keep students stuck after experiencing an academic failure? Truth be told, we don't need motivation. What we need is a proven method. So if you've been in a situation where you've been asking God, I beg, how am I going to do about this particular course? This episode is for you. Once again, welcome to the Nigerian Student Podcast. How are you doing, Precious?
Very well. Thank you, Maxwell. Thank you really for having me. I mean, it's great being back here, being the first person that was here and then like coming back again a while after. It's so wonderful seeing the progress that the podcast has made. And I'm so proud of you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for believing in us to actually take a chance on us. I believe 4 years ago when we kickstarted this journey. Thank you so much. And you're actually doing well for yourself, Yes. So let's get into the conversation. Now, we'd love to ask this question. Many Nigerian students are asking this question. What really causes students to carry over courses beyond the belief system of not just reading enough?
I mean, I think it's a very interesting question because when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's like, is there really a direct answer for this question? Because there are lots of factors to consider when it comes to a career. There's the aspect of the lecturers. You have the ones that have already determined that maybe 50% of the class is not going any further and then they have to do the course again or something. But then there's also the part that falls to the place of responsibility of the participant. And I guess that's where I can speak the most to, because in the end, that's where we have more control over compared to a person that has chosen to do something. But I mean, just to speak to that in some little regard, when there are people that have chosen to stand as barriers or principalities, you have to address them from a very strong perspective. And in my case, that would be a spiritual perspective. So you have to pray and just be sure that you have favor, and not that you have, because you already have favor being in Christ and everything. So pray, sort that out. That doesn't matter what's going on in the world, you're still going to be fine, essentially. So that's just to address the aspect of someone choosing to be difficult. But then maybe for more relational things as well, you might as well try to see if you can be close to the person in a sense, like not close, like forming a fake relationship, but just prove yourself to be someone that is different from the crowd. Don't join those that are insulting the person or playing pranks on them or something, because they know those things and they do note those people. So just ensure that you are someone that's diligent, and that's also something else to have in the bag in that regard. Now, for the responsibilities or things that cause people to carry over the course in that direct regard. I mean, of course, you said beyond not reading enough. When we say reading enough, I think it's kind of broad, like it's kind of vague and ambiguous, because there's also the part of, it's one thing to say reading enough, which means, you're not reading so many things, like you're not completing all things that have been provided for you. And that can happen because you don't have an active system that you're working with for studying. So I'm not saying...
Hello, comrade. Before we continue this conversation, please, we have a request. We want to appreciate everyone that helped us get 1,200 subscribers is not beans. Thank you so much for actually helping us achieve that. Now, we are on a mission to actually get 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year. And we know with your help, we can actually achieve that. Abi, yes. So, if you've not subscribed, job, waiting they happen. Please help us subscribe now. Subscribe now. It shows to the algorithm that this content, this channel is worth promoting. And if you've not shared this content with your classmates, please do all to share with your classmates. Let's get back into this wonderful conversation.
I'm not saying you should read from the beginning of the course. No, I'm just saying, like, when you are aware of every single thing that is available, all of the resources, then you have to do the due diligence. And when you keep reading for just the week before the exams, then you have a lot to do. And most times, you have lots of exams that are together, in the same week. And if that is the case, then if you're trying to catch up on 8 courses concurrently, then you're not going to do so well in all of them. So having a proper study system that enables you to walk through everything and be aware is something that I think helps to prevent people from not. I think something else that isn't talked about a lot, I would say, would be maybe just the transition into for example, a new space, a new environment, or just a new class as well. So a new level, basically, university-wise. It comes with its own level of pressure. And sometimes some people never really understand that they don't have to go through that alone. So that emotional pressure, all of that, it does take its toll on people as well. So that's something worth noting. And I would also say maybe trying to be someone that is isolated. Being isolated, just trying to do things just by yourself. I know there are people that are self-study people, but many times I've really come to the realization that there's only so much you can do alone, right? And you just really need that support from people. So yeah. I think those are just some of the things: burnout, being tired, things like that. They all add up and lead to people not getting their desired grades.
That's you took our time to actually dissect the whole system, But now I want us to look at this from an angle. For a Nigerian student that is actually watching this episode right now, who has already failed a course, let's say you are to meet the Nigerian students right now. What is one practical step you give to that student to bounce back up?
When it comes to bouncing back, there's a lot that has to do with you regulating yourself as a human being before even talking about any other action you need to take that is studying wise. And I guess before I talk about any step or anything, I'll just first talk a bit from a personal experience and everything. So when I moved to the UK for my master's, which I just completed anyways, it was a new environment. Thank you. New environment, new systems, just everything was pretty new to me. And there were also some external factors that led to a bit of instability for me. And I just knew I wasn't at my optimal state. And so my grades in my first term weren't my best grades. It wasn't a carryover, but they were my best grades. I am not, I will still not be proud of them, right? And it broke me. It broke me so much that I was talking to my friends and I'll just be wailing and just crying you know what, I need to just tell my friends that I can't do it anymore, this or that kind of thing. Because I was just so frustrated and I didn't even feel like trying again. There was not that much effort in a lot of other things that were then coming up because my mind was broken. I mean, you did introduce me as Precious 5.0 and everything. So imagine moving from that and then experiencing something that was crazy. So again, like I said, it wasn't a failure. It's just it wasn't my standard of success. And it took a big toll on me. I kept thinking, like, who is this? And so I then internalized that information, and it was affecting my view of myself. I wasn't looking at myself as someone, like, was it only hooks? Was I just drama where people just, in quote, whining me from the onset and everything? So steps I took to get back on track, first off, recalibrating my mind, moving away all of that, all those things, those false things are internalized. And one of the best ways to do this, of course, as you know, I'm a believer, so I had to take the word of God and like wash my brain. Like your identity is not rooted in your grade. It's not rooted in what is going on. You have an identity as someone that is known and loved by the Lord first, before anything, before any accolade, before anything that anybody has to say. So that was a journey in itself, like just reorienting my mind to see that there was more to me than just what my grades were. And that changed the game, because when I then started seeing myself rightly, I was then able to take actions. So looking back on it, what happened? Why did I not achieve the grade? So I noted what the external factors were. Oh yes, I had a bit of maybe financial instability and all of that. What can I do to prevent that going forward? What can I do to set some things in motion to help me be better positioned for things like that? To ensure that that does not happen again. So I had arrived at a point of better stability. And then I noticed that there were some courses as well that I had an idea of them, but it was like they kept speaking about them on an even deeper level than I expected to get to, I guess. And then I tried to have...
We now discovered that many of our wonderful audience, they don't like the content and they don't comment. Haba! If you have any thoughts that came to your mind that sparked an idea, please leave it in the comment section. And if you have any question in regards to the conversation, leave in the comment section. If it's a question where we can honestly answer, we'll escalate it to the guest, and the guest will give their professional touch, their professional answer on it, and we'll bring it back, because we are on a mission to build students. That is why we are here. That is why we have the podcast. Do well to leave your comments after every section. And if you don't have any question, just say thank you for the episode. I would really appreciate it, because we need encouragement to actually continue. And one more thing, do what you like this video. Just like now. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this. Now, let's get back into this wonderful and reformative conversation.
I try to have conversations with people. So rather than trying to be a lone ranger who knows her way around things, because if you recall from when we met before, I did mention that I have a tendency to like study by myself, but then at the same time, it doesn't prevent me from asking questions from people that I know things. So but down this time I had to like come up with a different approach of actually working with people in the study process. So that was something that was new that I then had to implement. So I remember I would sit with some of my friends, or we'll be at the library together, decoding certain things, and then coming up with better solutions. And that way we arrived at better understanding and actually started performing better in the terms afterwards. There has to be that examination of what actually went wrong to then create a system to not allow that thing happen again. And sometimes, and then there's also the part of like time, I think, still reading things that went wrong and things to do better. I think in some cases I might have underestimated what else I needed to know about some other things. So recognizing that that was something I did wrongly, then I had to do better. And then I think there was also the part of some places that were actually just careless mistakes. And by that, I just mean if I had given it a fifth look. I mean, people say double check your work, right? And things like that. But like, sometimes I do it, not sometimes, many times I do it more than that. Sometimes I don't do it because I'm so sure that my work is good. And that's also a problem, you understand? Because you must recognize that you have the ability to make errors. So imagine you're working through a math problem, and instead of double checking your answers, you then, after you've submitted, you then realize that like you didn't do like your calculation right through and through, or you used the wrong figure, or you shifted the decimal point, which significantly changes the course of it. So noting that that was something that happened before that influenced something, I then became more intentional to not allow that kind of thing repeat itself. Yeah. And I think having people, to be honest, right? Because I think I've said that in so many ways in just these few minutes we've spoken, but having people that would hold you, because there'll be times that feeling would resurface that you're not good enough. Have people that will remind you of who you are and that your identity is not rooted in this, and that will push you to do better. And then, of course, just create a routine. So for me, I remember that I essentially said, okay, because I realized that I was running a lot of things, which is usual of me to have a lot of things going on per time. But then I had to actually come to even more prioritization because I underestimated what else this would take from me. And so I then had to realize the ones I would then drop to focus even more, to do better. And I did see the results afterwards in the coming semesters.
Okay, you mentioned about I actually overheard you mention about careless mistakes you made in the past. I would
Yeah.
love to know if you can actually, I believe, highlight 2 careless mistakes that you actually made.
Okay, so I think both happened in the same course, right? Like they happened at 2 points in the same course, in the same test itself. So what happened was that I had gotten the right answer, but I did not let it reflect on the graph that I drew. So my report says, let's say the value is 69% or something, but my graph is showing it at 65%. And my lecturer was particular about the graph because if you have the right number, but your graph is not showing that, then it's easy to assume that you just took the number from somewhere else.
Exactly.
So, but then like that was something that if I confirmed that what I had in my text and what I had in the graph were the same, then that could have been skipped. That would have not been an error, and that would have changed the way that worked. Then I think another thing well, to be fair, that was in that one. Then in another one, because when I say 2 points in that same one, because there's the part of having the right number, then having the wrong graph. Then I think there was another part in the calculation itself for another question where if I had given it another look, I would have seen where I had missed a particular phrasing of something that would have been instrumental to getting that particular problem solved. And also it emphasized a different level of attention to detail for me. And I'm actually very grateful for that because now like I'm more paranoid in quotes. So just more particular. Yeah. So those are 2 points I would say were careless mistakes.
Wow, and I believe you learned your lessons from them. You,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
mentioned about with that season where it was quite a lot on you. So I would love to know what were, I believe, 2 of your favorite scriptures that kept you going in that season.
That's a good one. I mean, one thing to be fair, right? Of course, scriptures, but then I usually like to translate scriptures into confessions for myself. So it may not be the scripture itself, but it will just be more of what I kept saying to myself, which was that I am complete in Christ. I am known by the Lord, loved by the Lord. My identity is not rooted in things. My identity is not rooted in accolades. My identity is not rooted in my grades. So, of course, being fully known and fully loved, that comes from scriptures like Isaiah and Psalms. And then just reminding yourself of identity, like Philippians 3:3, where you say, we are circumcision who serve God by His Spirit and boast in Christ Jesus and put no confidence in the flesh. So you remind yourself that, like, okay, yeah, there's more to me than just all of that. And I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. Just like so many things to claim your brain, right? Reminding myself that when Jesus died for me, he not died for me because of my grit. Like, you have to understand that, like, it's actually like what to just remind yourself of all of these things. And it will seem interesting, like, oh my gosh, like, why are you talking about something? If you don't remember that when Jesus was dying for you, you do not have strength. Like, you begin to think, oh my gosh, wow. You begin to think that it's great that Jesus was like, oh wow, yeah, that's why I should die for you because you had 5.0. So it was like, I mean, of course, not the season I want to go through anymore, but I'm also grateful for what it birthed in me. That ability to recognize myself first as someone who is known and loved by the Lord above all else. And that has also just influenced my audacity to do more things that I'm now doing and not like be too tied to things. And then there's one thing my friend told me as well that really kept me going, where he was like, I should define my metrics of success. Now, this concept was important because I was in a class with people who were from like a computer science background, this type software engineering background and things like that. So they had a lot of coding experience. I had been exposed to coding, but of course not at the depths that they had been exposed to it. And so if someone that has that background is doing the fundamentals of coding with me, who is having a more, like this is what is foundational to you is seeming advanced to me, you're likely to have an A-star in that course. And I'm like, I solved the problem, right? So I solved the problem, and that should give me the correct thing, because like I solved the problem, so you should give me the right grades because I solved the problem. But solving the problem just gets you like the average mark, right? Now you have to put in some more embellishments to then get to an A-star. So I mean, so for me, I was satisfied with the fact that I had solved the problem. And I was happy about that because I couldn't do that before, but now I did it. So that was my metric of success. And that also changed my perception of things.
Wow. All right. One thing I love about how you communicate is that you wrap your lessons around your journey and your story, and you take your time to actually break it down, and you bring in your emotions towards it. You are really good in storytelling.
Thank you.
Right, now, let's get into something much more practical. Now, we are in a world where there is a lot of motivation everywhere. And we, the Nigerian students, will I say yes, we, the Nigerian students, I'm still a student, we need practical frameworks towards a lot of things. And now I would love to know, there is students actually watching this video that need a specific study system or strategy that works best for passing a difficult course under pressure. How would you break it down for that student?
A difficult course under pressure. A very serious situation for the person to be. But basically, I think it really just starts with starting earlier than when you may typically feel like starting to prepare for that course. Again, like I said, am I saying start reading from the beginning of semester? Maybe not. But like, of course, if you were in my case, maybe starting at the beginning of the semester was helpful. And I'll say this because on our first week, we were introducing new concepts, right? We were taught for the whole week, and we had an assessment on Friday, and that assessment was 50% of the weight of the grade for the entire class. So it's not like CE that was like 20% or 10%. Like that's half. So if you fail, you're failing. Like there's no redemption arc, right? And like every week there's a new assessment for the different courses that you're learning. So yeah. But anyway, so you have to start early. That's just the truth. Don't overthink. Like don't wait till when you feel like starting. You have to start. And I actually just talked about this very recently in a video we posted, just about the fact that motivation is actually a byproduct. And it's a byproduct of action. Action is literally just you starting. So if you set up your reading station or something, your study table, and you just start reading, you say, you know what, I'm just going to do 5 minutes. Let me even look at what they said what they even talked about in class, just for you to look. I not say study a whole chapter. I said just look. So in doing that, maybe something can catch your eye and you're like, okay, let me look at this a bit more. Let me, this. And before you know, like you're going down and down and down. But the real difficulty most times is getting yourself to start. And when you reduce the barrier to entry, like you reduce what that success is supposed to look like too. Because many times people want to make timetables or study tables. They're like, I'll study for 4 hours today, 3 hours today. And they will now block one fat amount of time. And of course, it's important, but like you must understand that our brains are usually looking for the easiest path to like
Sure.
away. So you tell yourself that, like, bro, like it's literally just 2 minutes. Like I just want to read this thing. Like just look at what I said. Like, you hear what I'm saying? Look at. I not saying read. I said look at like what they even talked about in class today. And of course, you don't want your school fees to waste. As you continue to look at it, you begin to look for. You begin to like just go down the rabbit hole because you actually care about it. I remember there was one time I was studying, like, there was a course and I was like, what do I really know about this course at this point in time? And so I said, let me even see what has been going on in the course. I opened the slides and then I was going through it. Like, this is very interesting because I've never seen it before. And I started doing research, I started looking inside textbooks when all I wanted to do was look, right? So no matter how difficult it is, just find a way to start. And finding a way to start simply means creating a low barrier to entry, which is, hey, I just want to do 5 minutes and look at this thing. That's one. Two, I would say leverage people. When a course is difficult, don't think you can do it by yourself. I'm saying this because there will be people that understand some concepts better than you do. And whilst your lecturers are good trying to teach you, but sometimes it's always nice when you hear from someone that is also collecting the concept and is explaining it to you. So when your classmate is doing it, it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. When if you move this, and with your classmate, like especially if it's your friend, they will look for very funny examples that though they may not directly relate to what it is, but they find a way to tweak it. I remember there was a time I was explaining something to someone in secondary school and I explained something and I remember I used something relating to cockroaches and of course it was disgusting because it was roaches, but because it was so disgusting, they had to remember, right? So like leverage people and talk a lot as well. It's always very helpful. When you're under pressure as well, that could also mean maybe you're in a time crunch because that's another way that pressure can be there. And so if it's possible to know what the key points of focus are, like if you have anything like areas of concentration, but I'm typically not a fan of areas of concentration. And that's because when it comes to knowing a subject, I prefer to know it holistically because that's when I appreciate it. Because I had this mind overhaul when I went for my internship during my undergraduate where I came to a point where I just wanted to learn for the sake of learning. Like I wanted to appreciate knowledge for what it was. And so that's why it's never really like one of my first pieces of advice to only focus on maybe the areas of concentration or something. Because there's just so much that you get to miss out on when you don't look at the entire thing. But of course, that's only possible if you have started earlier. So in the event that you did that so early, then if you have something like an area of concentration, leverage it and get someone to like maybe ask you questions, review stuff for you. And please take care of your health. And when I say take care of your health, I mean, I'm not even talking about medication alone or something, but like sleep well. Oh my God. See, sometimes the stress that you're stressed is that you've just not slept or you've not taken a shower. These two things, game changers. Just like be intentional about sleep. Don't think, oh, I need to deprive myself of sleep to be successful. It's not true. Sleep well. Because when you sleep well, like you'll see that it's playing a role. There's a quote by Apostle Emmanuel that I love so much where it's like, don't see rest as something that takes you away from work. See rest as something that helps you to work. And it's such a game changer. Like I remember because before, I don't know if I mentioned it when I spoke with you before, but the time earlier in university, I was running on 3 hours of sleep on the average, and I don't know why I was doing that to myself. When I check my screen time, my sleep, it was terrible. But now, like, I'm sleeping well. 6 hours, depending on day 8. Just sleep well. That's just it. That's for sure. But, yeah.
When you mentioned when you just stepped into the dimension of sleep, I was like, please, can you just don't talk about sleep? I'm quite guilty of this. I don't sleep. But although I've been, intentional about my sleeping time, at least this morning I received 5 hours, which I think is quite enough for me. I don't know why I have this belief that if I sleep for more than 6 hours, bro, you're wasting your time. Come on, get out of that bed and start working. Well, God will help me. But
Yeah,
I started
well,
discovering that I'm much more productive whenever my mind is at rest.
you are. That's just the truth.
I kid you not, much more productive whenever I take a nap. And I'm like, I think this might be my secret to success. Anytime I want to do anything productive, prepare for a speaking engagement, I need to first of all sleep at least 1 hour. Just, take a nap, come back
Fair.
that time and rejuvenated to, kickstart my engine.
Yeah, yeah.
But God will help us. I'm anti-sleep people.
See, like, honestly, sleep it's important because if you're burnt out, you're going to be perpetually stressed. And when you're stressed, you're not going to assimilate as well as you would have when you're reading if you had slept properly. So, like, just sleep.
Exactly.
Do you get?
I
Yes, it
agree
may
to
not have
that.
to be 8 hours at this point. Maybe you can do 6 or something. I think 6 is fair. I know, of course, the recommended is 7 and above, but 6 is fair, to be honest, especially for someone that's doing a lot of things. 6 is fair. But if you can push it, please feel free. But yeah, sleep well. Don't allow anybody deceive you.
Now, that is one question that I believe we'll have to, wrap the section around. It has been a very, very simple, flowing conversation. Now, what is, okay, let me put it this way, let me make it plural. What are the biggest mistakes students make after failing a course that keeps them stuck?
I mean, for that one, for sure, like I think I've sort of addressed it in passing, but I will try to maybe itemize a bit better because the question is explicitly asked. First things first, turning your failure into an identity. And I explained that with my own story earlier. The fact that you fail at something does not mean you are a failure. They're two different. And it's so important to like settle that difference. And that's why, like I said, when it comes to identity, you must fight, because it's a fight. You have to fight to separate yourself from anything, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Because if it's good, people think that, oh yeah, it's good. I'm just the girl that did this. For example, in my case, I'm Precious 5.0, I did this, I did that. And that's important. Like, it's great. Like, the accolades are important because in this world, you need to use those things. But when you come back to yourself, you must remind yourself that beyond these great achievements, I am just Precious Okon, a girl that is known and loved by the Lord, right? So the mistake many people make is absorbing that failure, internalizing it, and making it their identity. That I'm a failure, I don't do good at school, I'm just not smart or something. It's not true. The person that made you did not talk about you like that. You have to say what he has said about you. He has called you good. He has called you wonderful. He says you've made well. Think of yourself that way. So separate the failure from your identity. Then isolation as well. So, of course, because of the shame, people just tend to want to go away and just be like my friends, my classmates, like nobody will talk to me or something. But I think I remember there were some people in university, like some of my friends or classmates, maybe they didn't do so well in a course, but like, and so they had to like carry those courses over. But like, we still interacted. We didn't make them feel like they were less of people because of that. And where we could, we even supported their study processes, right? Oh, this is what I did better in this regard. Oh, this is what I did that helped me understand this thing better. So have people, see, it doesn't have to be everybody, but you must have a strong support system for life generally. Then in this situation, more specifically, you need a support system. You need people that will hold you, that will encourage you, that will support you through it all. Then another mistake, I think I also kind of talked about that. Maybe like, because, you didn't do well now, you now create one ridiculous schedule that is impossible to keep up with. So maybe you say, immediately class finishes, I'll go to the library, 6 hours. Am I saying you can't do it? No. Am I saying, of course, the truth is, because it's a carryover and you're now attaching it to like the courses you're now doing, like in the new term, because depending on how you go about having your carryover. So you do have a relatively tighter schedule than other people, right? So maybe you don't get to do as many, in quote, fun stuff, but not that you don't have any at all, right? So you can still like create like a structure that enables you to balance that extra units, or those extra units, because it could be like a different weight of units, that those extra units with what you're doing basically. And then the comparison trap has,
Very true.
right? So the Bible says that those who compare themselves with themselves are not wise. If that's what the Bible says, then like you don't see, if the Bible calls you a fool, chances are you're a fool. So like you don't want to be the person that the Bible described as a fool or someone that is not wise. Right. So just decide that you are going to not compare. Yes, I made a mistake, because in the end, no one is saying that you should throw away the responsibility, because in the end, nobody, for example, let's say it's not something that you had a wicked lecturer and it was all just because of you not putting in the best structure for your study life and everything. Just recognize your responsibility. Yeah, I didn't do so well, and now I'm just going to take advantage of this situation and do even better, right? Put in the work. I remember there's a story that our lead pastor shared, Apostle Aaron, and he blessed me so much. Of course, like I said, I didn't have a carryover, but like this thing. So it's not like he failed the course, it's just an attendance challenge. Just long story anyways. But basically, he had a carryover. And so he then studied so much that he got 100 in that carryover course. He then even started running tutorials for the course. So do you get, so turning such a terrible situation into something so good? He became so good at the course that he even now started spotting errors that the lecturer had made. So he was sitting, because it's what you do with that pain that matters. Because many times people just let that pain weigh them down and they keep thinking themselves as not enough and just throw themselves away. But like, you must kick yourself up and convert that pain into energy to drive you towards purpose, towards the things you really want to get done for yourself, for your life, for your future, for what God has called you to do. So yeah, throw away comparison and think one more thing, maybe like not doing anything differently. That's also a mistake, because the same things you did that caused you this problem, you're now repeating them. So where were you headed? What do you really want? So I think those are the things I can say as key mistakes people likely make in that regard.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I had to even stop taking notes. I told myself whilst watching the replay, I would take the notes, to prepare myself. Thank you so much. We want to also use this opportunity to say we are honestly grateful and we are proud of the things you do and what you are building, in Magazine Chronos. Thank you so much for actually building that. We are always proud of you. You actually showed us that excellence is not just about your academic performance, that even after your academic performance, you actually moved on to building something substantial that we can actually see, and I believe a framework that can be used that will also bet excellent results. Thank you so much for, turning that academic knowledge to a more practical, knowledge, showing us that it's possible to become academically good and still become real life good. It's quite a debate nowadays. We are honestly grateful for actually championing that cause.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
All right. Now we'll be ending the section now, but we have 2 questions that we are going to be asking that won't be making it into the episode.
Okay. So where do they go?
It's for my team